So I'm parked right now in the parking lot of a restaurant because there's a train that like runs through this town that blocks all the ways to get home unless we drive like really far around and we find like a bridge or something like that. So we are just gonna park and then wait for the train to move. And there's some news today. I'm gonna give it just a few minutes for some people to join. So if you're already here, let me know that you're here, where you're from. Did you already hear the news? I'm getting a lot of, I've gotten a lot of like texts and emails and comments about it. And it is a big deal. There's been like a lot of temple changes during the time that I've done this channel. Well, not like a lot, but there's at least like 2 times that I can think of. And one time in particular was back in, I think it was February 7th of either it was 2023 or it was 2022. I don't exactly remember. But I have that down on my Second Coming timeline where I just take note of like different events. So I'm gonna have to like take note of this one. It comes at an interesting time. I'm not saying that it's related, but these temple changes that just occurred, from what I understand, they took effect today, and today is Tisha B'Av on the Hebrew calendar. It's the day that they mourn the destruction of the first and second temples. So, sorry. So we're starting to get some more people back. We're starting to get some more people in the chat. So, we just got done swimming and we're trying to get home, but we're in this town where there's this like railroad that goes through town, and there's a train that's just like not moving. And so the only way that we can get around this train is by going like really far out of our way to find some like bridge or something like that. So I am just parked in the parking lot of this restaurant doing a quick live stream. Okay. So if you didn't know, I guess what happened was the endowment session has been shortened. I first found out about this from Mindy from Temples of Jesus channel. She goes to the temple frequently. She goes to the Redland, California temple. She's a temple worker. And she went today. And based on what she said, and many of you, it seems like these changes took effect today. And that the endowment has been shortened by 20 minutes. I've heard different figures. Mindy, her husband like works at the temple, and after her session she went and talked to him, and he's like, yeah, it's 20 minutes. I've also heard 22 minutes, but it seems like it's basically 20 minutes. So it's shorter. It sounds like I can't say for myself, I'm just saying what I've heard all of you say that have been today. It's shorter, it's more streamlined. The thing that I think is interesting is I think that Satan essentially has less to say, if anything at all. I've heard a couple different things, so I can't say anything for sure, but I feel like I can say with certainty that his part has been reduced, which I think is really interesting, because when we get to the millennium, he's not going to have the same power in the millennium. Virtually none, because he's going to be bound. Satan's going to be bound for 1,000 years, so he's not going to have the same power that he did before the millennium. He's going to be bound. And so before the millennium, he's had power in the earth. He's had power over governments and nations and militaries, and you know, that's been like the whole theme of this last 6,000 years. But in the millennium, that's kind of like not really relevant, because he doesn't have power anymore, and Christ is going to be king of the world, and he's not going to have power over nations and governments and militaries and all the different organizations that he has power over. Does it make sense? So I don't know if it's related to that. I'd like to think that it is, but whatever the case, you know, putting that aside, Satan being bound during the millennium, and none of that being relevant anymore in the millennium, at the very least, by having it be shorter, it makes it so that you can have more sessions throughout the day. You may be more inclined maybe to do 2 sessions in a day rather than just the one, because now, you have more time to do 2 sessions. And so it's a hastening of the work. And we've seen a lot of this. In fact, I'll put this on my spreadsheet about all these things that seem to be preparing the church for a large influx of people to join the church, and just a streamlining of the way that we do things. There's been so many changes, especially since President Nelson became president of the church. And here's the next one. So potentially Satan being bound, and the threat that he's posed before the millennium no longer being relevant, really. A streamlining so that more of the work of salvation gets done ahead of the second coming, and just in general. And I don't know, I can't speak to any of the other changes. From what I understand, there's been a reduction of redundancies, so maybe that'll be better for people who are going through for the first time. It's just more streamlined, easier, quicker. I don't know. Okay, looks like the train is moving, so I'm probably going to take off in just a minute. Let me just read some of these comments. Brian Voinovich, Providence, Utah. Kim Marie, I'm not sure. Bert, and if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on attack. Phyllis Kennison, someone said that she went and the session lasted 59 minutes. Yeah, I've never really known how long it takes. I've just never really cared too much about that, so I don't know. I'm not good with keeping track of how long the endowment has been throughout time, but I know over time it's become shorter and shorter. Okay. Digital Jedi, Gilbert, Arizona. Gilbert, Arizona Temple does every hour on the hour. I know we could fit more if we have the ordinance workers for it. Well, now it's shorter, so now even more sessions, I think. Joni from Joyce Genealogist, make sure to subscribe to her. She recently went to Kirtland and to Palmyra, so you might want to check out her channel for her experiences there. She says, please tell the kiddos and Jenica hi for me. And hi, Johnny. Jenica says hi, and so does Benjamin. We just went swimming with just him because one of my girls is sick, and so they both stayed home. Today's the last day that this place is open, so I was just talking to Jenica about this. It feels to me this is one of the, it almost feels like summer ends, the last day that the pools are open, in one sense, in my mind. Jared Basinger, fascinating. Damaris Fish, thumbs up. Okay, I'm gonna skip down. Mindy's here. Temples of Jesus. She's the one that told me about this first. She says it's about 1 hour 10 minutes now, 20-minute reduction. 20-minute reduction. Rebecca Blanchett Warren, where is President Nelson? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. I don't know. I hope that we see him in general conference, or I hope that we hear from him on social media, but I don't know. And then Joni says, I'm excited for the new change. It normally takes around an hour and a half to get through an endowment session. So, oh yeah, well there you go. Hour and a half minus 20 minutes, so an hour and 10 minutes. Jens Johnson says it was an hour and a half. So, I don't know. These are exciting times that we're living in. I wish I had some kind of full timeline of all the changes to the temple endowment, and we're probably not going to have access to that until maybe the millennium or maybe after this life, but I would love to go through and see why things were changed at certain times, and just see the reasoning behind it. But I know that it's all inspired, and it's for us. So for whatever reason right now, this is the way that things are supposed to be. I assume it has to do with getting more work done and a hastening of the work. And I sure hope that it has to do with Satan being bound and his power no longer being relevant as we move forward, because hopefully the second coming is soon. and he will be bound. Let's see, Matthew Wilkinson, more changes? Yes. The haystack. It would be cool to see President Nelson come forth as a young man on his birthday. Yeah, that would be a really stunning image, wouldn't it? He turns 100 years old, and then he's changed in the wrinkling of in the wrinkling of an eye, in the twinkling of an eye, and then he's a young man. That would be a very emotional experience for all of us to see him young again. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Matthew Wilkinson, were the changes that happened already? Yeah, there were changes today. It was shortened by 20 minutes. It seems like Satan has less of a presence during it, so I would like to think that means that pretty soon we're going to be in the millennium, and he's going to be bound, not have as much influence over nations, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that really quick. I don't have anything else to say. I don't like to really talk too much about the nitty-gritty when it comes to the temple. I know that there's things you can talk about, but I like to just be more careful with that. So that's pretty much like all I want to say, and that's really all that I know anyway. But I'll put it on my spreadsheet, and I would invite you to go to the temple. Maybe knock out 2 sessions in a day if you can, because now, there's less time. Get more work done. Get more people prepared for eternity. Oh, and then let's see, one last thing. Joni says, did they announce these changes anywhere in church news? Not that I know of. In fact, I'm not sure that they ever do, that the church ever publishes that in church news, or that it comes up in Deseret News. Usually whenever it's published, I think it's the Salt Lake Tribune that does it, because, they don't care so much about these things. So I feel like it's okay to talk about, but that's probably all that I really want to talk about. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. So I hope you guys are having a... Wait, it's not the weekend, right? No. What's today?
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and that once you get to the weekend, that you'll have a good weekend. I'll talk to you guys later.